Hello, my name is Stanislav Teslenko, and here is the fourth part of our Teapot tutorial. And in this part, we will be focusing on optimizing geometry and set up hard edges for it. So let's begin. We need to delete some vertical loops of the teapot cap. So select the ring, then checker deselect to select one by one them, then select loops and edge loops, and just dissolve the edges. Just press delete and dissolve the edges. So we already optimized our cap, so it's better match the whole topology density to other part of our teapot. Then we can delete the loop from the top part and this bottom one. I think it's have no not so big impact on our silhouette of geometry at all, so just select and dissolve them. Just select this loop, press delete, dissolve, and now by pressing right click and doing set flow a couple of times, we get rid of this loop. So here again we have the situation where near this holder of the cup we have too dense geometry. We will go pretty much the same process, just select every second loop and just delete them. For now I adjusting the bottom of this form. Just now select one vertical loop, select ring, checker deselect, then again select and select loops, edge loops. But now we need to deselect the loops that are going to the main part of the form. Just leave selected loops that are in the tip of this cap. So just deselect them, and we have only loops that we need to dissolve selected. Just press delete and dissolve edges. It's look pretty okay, like for geometry density, but we need to get rid of these n-gons just by pressing K and cutting them with each other. We get rid of n-gons. Again, I remind you that n-gons, it's not a good practice to leave them in the low poly geometry of the assets that you planned to create for a game engine. So we're doing just like that. It looks pretty well optimized for now. Just unhide all parts. It's look pretty okay. We get rid of geometry that has no big impact to the silhouette, and just reduce it and have our budget as low as possible. Again, pretty much the same process with this ring. Select ring, checker deselect, select loops, and again we leave only loops that are contained in the center of this form. Other loops will be deselected. Press Ctrl, and by dragging the left mouse button I deselect all the loops that I don't need. I'm doing it in transparent mode, so Alt Z to switch to transparent mode. It allows me to select all the geometry that are on the opposite side of my camera view angle. So I decided that I can delete every second loop on the top plane as well. So just selecting them manually, or you can go the same process and just deselect everything but leave these loops. So press delete and dissolve them. Then pretty much the same process with cut. We need to get rid of these angles. So go to vertices by pressing 1, pressing K, and start cut the polygons as I show here. So we achieve this result where we have evenly spread geometry across our Teapot tank. So this is it for tank optimization. Let's switch to the cup handle. It has two dense geometry. Just let's optimize it. Again, pretty much the same process, just select loops and delete every second loop. So just select ring, and then checker deselect, select loops, edge loops, then delete and dissolve edges. It looks the geometry still a bit denser compared to other part of our teapot. So let's repeat this process again. Just select select ring, then checker deselect, select loops, and just delete and dissolve edges. Now we have too many horizontal loops, so we will reduce them. Just select with Alt and left click these loops, then delete and dissolve them. I try to look at this cap handle from other perspective angles to see the silhouette and the jaggedness of the silhouette. I selected edges and delete them, and let's with Alt select this cap hole, and by pressing M just merge it. Now we are facing the situation that we have two dense geometry on the top of this cup handle, so just let's optimize it a little bit more. Just select the two edges of the horizontal loops. You can select them manually, or again use the technique with checker deselect as I showed previously. Press M to merge and press collapse. This is very useful technique for optimizing the spherical shapes and object. So as geometry become denser to the center, you can only collapse the edges that are closer to the center to maintain the whole density of the geometry. Again, the same process we can repeat in the middle part of the nose of our teapot. Just select every second edge of this inner part, press M and select the collapse. So basically our silhouette doesn't change much, but we reduce our geometry pretty gratefully. Then this bottom part, just select with Alt this hole, press M to collapse and select at the center. So now we're having this clear and well optimized topology. Let's optimize the topology of our handles. Keep in mind we don't collapse our modifiers. Just disable the visibility of the solidify modifier, so we have better control on our geometry. We need to reduce the topology in this area, so just hide the parts that we don't need. Go to edit mode, press 1 to select vertices. When you select vertices with the shift, you have this option to collapse the selected vertex to the last vertex that you are selecting. So basically we just select all these vertices, then with shift press at the center vertices to make it selected the last, and press M and press at last. So we collapsed all our vertices at last central vertex that we are selecting. Then by pressing K we add some edges to get rid of these n-gons and leave only just triangles in this part of the shape. Looks pretty okay for now. Just enable again the visibility of the solidify modifier and unhide all other parts. Then for further optimization we need to clear out our modifiers, just leave only the geometry. To do so, just select all the objects, go to object, apply, and visual geometry to mesh. Then we will need to set up our sharp edges. To do so and to check the geometry on some artifacts, just select all the geometry, press tab to go to object mode, select all geometry, press tab to go to edit mode, and in faces select all faces by pressing A, and just press shade smooth to all the geometry, and it will make it smooth and have a smooth transition between polygons. And now we clearly see where we can put our sharp edges. Again, one little note, we need spread our sharp edges very wisely, because for the good bake we will need the seams of the UV in the same places as the sharp edges are. So just put the sharp edges across the geometry, in especially in the parts of geometry that have some noticeable bendings in geometry, or angles that are close or sharper than the 90 degrees. It's a common rule for just justifying the uh, sharper edges. The main goal of this process is to create the cleaner surface without any shading, bendings, or some weird artifacts that may cause by the geometry. So let's switch to this screw. Again, go to edit mode, press 2 for selecting edges, select the bottom part, then select the top one, then just select this loop on the bottom. It will be all the places that will have the sharper edge to clear define the geometry. Just right click and mark sharp to do these edges, to make these edges sharper. As you can see that they don't become sharp immediately. We just need to apply auto smooth and set the smooth degrees to the maximum, and now we have the impact of our sharper edges. Just go to the another element, it will be our teapot cap. Go to edit mode, press 2 to select edges, and we need to define the edges that are closer to 90 degrees or sharper. I decided to pick this top edge, mark sharp, then select this one, sharp, mark sharp as well, select this and this one and mark sharp them as well. The edges in between and in the middle are a little bit wider than the 90 degrees, so we don't need to mark sharp them. Just select the edges at the bottom of this tip, because it will be the change of our form. Again, just remind you, where you put in the sharp edges, it will be the places where you will put the seams of your UVs. It's very essential for the proper normal baking in the future. Just select this tip handle, mark sharp these edges, just selecting them, right click and mark sharp. It's look pretty okay. I apply auto smooth and set the degrees to the maximum. Here we have our handle, but we need to optimize it a little bit more. We just need to get rid of this unnecessary geometry in the middle of our revels. And we will have, by deleting the unnecessary loops, we will have the perfect match. So just delete the right side of it, just to do not redo the works on the both side. Then let's start selecting our edges. that are that will be deleted and we don't need them at all. Selecting them by left clicking with Alt Shift. Just press delete and dissolve edge. So we will achieve this nice and clean geometry. We don't need the parts of these bells as well. So let's clean up them a bit. Just selecting the parts that we don't need, delete and dissolve the edge. Again, we will still left with the four-sided polygons. We don't need this loop as well, so just connect it here and in the opposite side to avoiding the creation of n-gons. Select the loop, press dissolve, delete and dissolve. It's look okay for now. We are pretty much optimized our geometry. Now we just need to set up our sharper edges. Just select the edges that will be our seams in the future. Then I selected this one rounded parts. Then press right mouse button and mark sharp. Again, let's mark sharp these edges as well, because they are 90 degrees and we will need the seams on our UV in these places for the perfect bake. Just mark sharp them, apply auto smooth and set the degrees to maximum. Then we need to apply mirror modifier and enable the z-axis. Now we will collapse our modifier and list with a clear geometry. Go to Object, Apply and Visual Geometry to Mesh. So we get rid of the modifier. Then just go to our handles. Pretty much the same process. Just delete the right side for now. I'll go to transparent mode, go to edges and delete. Then I just marked the edges of our handles with Alt, Shift and left click. Just select them, right click and mark sharp. Go to our Geometry tab, apply Auto Smooth and set the number of degrees to maximum. And now we have the shading issue where we don't have enough geometry to get rid of these artifacts that we has this to raise to the center. I fixing that by adding cut and in the front and in the rear side of our handles. I doing so and this shading is go off because we have this transition that two polygons are in the same plane before the third polygon start to have some angle bending. So I selected the vertices, select the vertex in the center, all with the shift, and collapse at last. Let's press M to merge and to last, and we will have this clear surface. Pretty much the same process on the back side. Just select the last one vertex in the middle, M, and select at last. So we will have our handle without any bendings and artifacts. Just go to modifiers, again apply mirror modifier, select the x-axis. Now we switch to the nose of our teapot, and pretty much the same process where we are facing the bending of the geometry, some hard edges, and the bending where angles are closer to 90 or sharper than 90 degrees. We need to put the sharp edges there. So with Alt and Shift I selected these edges, right click, mark sharp, then go to geometry, auto smooth, and set the maximum number of degrees. And by doing so I achieve this nice shaded look. So I make visible all parts of our teapot. It's pretty much all about the optimization. Now we need just to collapse our mirror modifier. So this is basically it. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Have a good luck.